Doctor said there's one of two places that we can get the sperm from, either the epididymis or the ball sacs. You really want it from the epididymis because they don't have to cut into your balls.
You have to spend time with them. And Jacob here too.
It's hard to hear Jacob say he concerned how David going to be a dad.
I'm beyond happy to report that your pregnancy test was positive today. Congratulations.
It's been a while since we last saw David and Annie on our screens, so what have they been up to? How are they embracing life as a growing family? Well, if you follow the pair on social media, you'll know that their little baby has already been born. Their beautiful baby girl, baby Minthirarat, was born on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. And now, thanks to the latest episode of 90 Day Diaries, we've been treated to a behind-the-scenes look at not only the fertility journey, but the impact it's had on their entire family.
And today is the beginning of what could be an amazing journey.
Yes.
We are going to the fertility clinic. It's definitely a life-changing moment. Wish us luck.
So we join them at the beginning of their fertility journey, and naturally it's an exciting time for David and Annie. Now, as you probably recall, there is a pretty big age gap between this couple. Annie, who's now 31, has always been very clear that she wants to have kids. But as for David, who's now 56, it's not quite that simple. He already has kids, adult kids, and let's just say his relationship with them hasn't always been the best.
You walked out of his life and left him with mom. You got with her, you did this, you bebopped around China.
He's 18 years old.
Cool,
Bye.
bitch.
David himself admits that he wasn't exactly a great dad first time round. You see, after breaking up with his first wife, he wasn't as present for his kids as he should have been. Now, what that means is this whole journey, becoming a dad again, is going to require him to navigate some complex emotions. But it's not just the emotions he's going to have to navigate. It's also complicated physically. David has a vasectomy. He looked at getting it reversed, but it had been 20 years since he'd had it done, so it just wasn't possible. So that left them with a few alternative options.
Doctor said there's one of two places that we can get the sperm from, either the epididymis or the ball sacs. You really want it from the epididymis because they don't have to cut into your balls.
Okay, let me just say on behalf of every single guy watching this right now, ouch. These two must really, really want that baby. Of course, it goes without saying that they're hoping that the extraction from the epididymis is successful. Because if not, if they have to resort to plan B, it's going to be incredibly painful and invasive. Now, considering everything that a woman has to go through during IVF, like the hormone shots and all that stuff, that's not exactly nice either. I guess it's only fair that David plays his part too. But it's left to the doctor to explain what the next steps actually are.
And I'm going to take a small needle and insert it into the epididymis of the storage chamber for sperm. You have to do this a couple of times, until they are happy with your sample.
Again, all I can think as I hear that is, ow, that's got to hurt. But thankfully, in the end, it was worth it. You see, the fertility team did get what they needed. They got what they needed from David, and also a few weeks later from Annie. They were able to retrieve some eggs. So what happens next? The excited pair ask.
And what's the next step after the egg retrieval?
They'll thaw the sperm and do the fertilization process. Tomorrow we'll update you, let you know how many fertilized.
Let me just say, isn't modern science pretty darn amazing? Sure, it might not be the most fun or the most romantic way to conceive a baby.
Oh my god, thank you.
But it is absolutely amazing that because of this, couples like David and Annie that otherwise wouldn't be able to have kids now can fulfill their dreams. Like, it's one thing hearing about it, you hear about IVF treatment all the time, but it's another thing actually seeing this journey firsthand, isn't it? Now, after this whole process, right, the couple ended up with 4 viable embryos. Again, incredible. And now all they had to do was wait for Annie's body to be ready for implantation. But IVF is incredibly expensive. How exactly are David and Annie affording this? You might recall when we first met them in season 5 of 90 Day Fiance, David was broke. He could barely afford to pay her dowry. Like, do you remember where they first lived when they came to the States?
I opened the door as the big area with the dark. It looks like a store or some office. I think it's not look like a home.
Remember, the only reason they even had that storage unit apartment was because David's friends kindly lent it to them. Like, David seemed like he was down and out. I don't know if you remember, but he's a far cry from the man we see today. He wasn't particularly likeable in those early days. He seemed like he had an alcohol problem.
Look at you. You're not fine.
I'm fine.
You say you want to stay, Ding? What's about me? I'm here for you.
You're not here for yourself.
But since that humble start, these two have come a very long way. You see, in 2022, they announced to the world that they'd bought a stunning home in Arizona. And that isn't even their only property. They've also got other properties that they rent out, both in the States and in Thailand. So what have they done that's allowed them to turn around their financial situation so drastically? Well, aside from appearing on the show, and they are regulars on Pillow Talk, they also make money from selling personalised videos on Cameo, and David has a thriving career as a licensed realtor. But it doesn't end there. He's also managed to turn one of his biggest passions, food, into an opportunity. Now, given that Annie has always liked to share her recipes on social media, their cookbook was pretty inevitable. Like, all of these ventures have clearly helped them come very far financially. And something else that's also come a very, very long way since we first met them is their relationship with David's family. You see, while they wait for the embryo transfer, they travel to David's niece's wedding. And it's while there that they get to spend some time with David's son, Jacob, and share their exciting news with him.
We've been going through the IVF process. We have decided to have a baby.
What?
Everyone's stunned. Like, David's hardly a spring chicken. This wasn't exactly the news that they were all expecting. Now, while they do at least say congratulations, it looks like Jacob isn't particularly thrilled. In fact, everyone seems to miss it, but he actually says, maybe watch the next one. Like, that is a pretty clear sign of the resentment bubbling back up to the surface, isn't it? Now, as I say, no one picks up on that, or maybe they ignore it. But his family do say that they're worried about David's health. How are you going to keep up with a baby, they ask.
You know, I don't want to deny Annie the right to motherhood. It would be unfair. And you look at several other celebrities, 81 years old, they just had a child.
Look, when he says that he doesn't want to deny Annie the right to be a mum, right, that logic, that reasoning is fair. But what isn't fair is comparing himself to celebrities having babies at 81. Like, that logic is a lot more flawed. Does it happen? Yes, but celebs do a lot of things that us normal folk shouldn't really do. Like, Jacob isn't exactly convinced by David's logic either.
Hey, you have to spend time with him.
And Jacob
here too.
It's hard to hear Jacob say he concerned how David going to be a dad.
Don't make the same mistakes with us, with your new baby too, Jacob warns. But sadly, when he's alone with the camera crew, Jacob actually admits that if David were to abandon his new child, it wouldn't exactly come as a shock.
I do have concerns with my father raising the child. If you can say he wants to do better, he can do better, but you gotta prove it.
Now, Jacob's warning, his reaction to what should have been big happy news, concerns Annie. Like, don't forget, this isn't the first time that Annie's hearing these concerns by David's kids. So when they're back at home over a final cocktail before the embryo transfer, Annie tries to bring up her worries to David.
You know, even though I'm in the 1000%, but I just want to make sure, are you in this with me? You know, are you ready? Because it seems like your family has some concern, you know.
Annie really doesn't want to end up raising this baby all alone. But David reassures her that he is all in. For as much as he wants her to have her chance at being a mum, he also knows that this is another chance for him to step up as a dad. I don't want you to worry, he says to her. We're in this together. And to try and set her mind at ease, David offers to set a schedule.
For diaper duty, I'm going to put you daytime.
Yeah.
I'll do nighttime. You sign your name. I sign my name.
We make a deal.
Now, this conversation seems to calm Annie's nerves, and when we join them a week later, the time has come for the embryo transfer. Now, they've been planning for this day, they've been praying about this day for a very long time. There's a lot riding on it, and while everything does go smoothly, it's completely understandable that there's a lot of raw emotion here.
We're gonna know everything in 8 days, okay? All right. Good luck, guys.
We're gonna get you a picture of the embryo.
I can only imagine that those 8 days must have been very tense. Annie tells us that while she's prepared for any outcome, she's praying that it's a good outcome. And as the days tick away, as there's a lot of sleepless nights filled with excitement that keep them awake, eventually, after some routine blood tests, it's finally time for a call with the doctor.
I'm beyond happy to report that your pregnancy test was positive today. Congratulations.
This is incredible news. Just look at how happy they both are. Now, we do know that in the months since this was filmed, they were incredibly open and honest with us on social media about how difficult Annie's pregnancy journey was. She faced a number of health challenges, including gestational diabetes. Like, that's no joke.
Let's see what my sugar level today is.
94.
Yay, you're doing good.
Is that good or low?
That's perfect.
But it was actually somewhat of a surprise when a few months before their due dates, the pair went back to Thailand to be close to Annie's family for when the baby was born. Now, I get it, like I understand that as a first-time mum, Annie wanted to be close to her support system. She wanted to be with her family so that they could help her out. But I guess the added benefit of that is being born in Thailand. The baby's automatically a dual citizen. And as it turned out, on Tuesday, March the 11th, 2025, their beautiful baby girl was born. Little baby Minthirarat, or Minty Ra as they're calling her, came in at a healthy 6 pounds 9 ounces, and the new parents couldn't be happier.
Her real full name is Minthirarat, and her nickname that we call her Minthira.
Now, for the time being at least, the family of 3 are still in Thailand. But I think the plan is still to come back to the States eventually, like they haven't sold their house. And as for little baby Minty Ra, well, one comment keeps popping up on social media. Everyone keeps saying that she looks like an Asian David. What do you think? You be the judge on that. For me, well, I see it. I think she does look a lot like David. And it's lovely to see. Like, it's lovely to see this new chapter, this new life that they've made for themselves. Annie and David, from where they came from to where they are now, have proved a lot of us wrong. I hope that they can continue going from strength to strength. I hope that they can prove Jacob's fears to be ill-founded. And I also hope that David is fulfilling his side of the contract.
Don't forget you have to help me changing the diapers sometime. We have signed the contract.
Yes, and I know you had it notarized.